This is Mimi Rupp of InfernalDreams.net. We are at Blood on the Beach, the 25th year anniversary reunion of The Lost Boys. I'm sitting here with Jamison Newlander, who played Alan Frog.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Blood on the Beach.
And
woo!
Woo! Right on. Okay. Just a few questions.
Yes.
When you were making the movie 25 years ago, did you ever think you would be coming back and revisiting it today?
Well, I'll tell you, there are a couple of things, like some things no, some in other ways yes. Like Schumacher, Joel Schumacher, when he was directing it, I swear he said we're making film history. But he wasn't serious. I mean, he was hopeful, but he wasn't serious. But I think he was keyed into something that, like, he was trying to make something epic. We didn't realize it at the time. We were just like in this movie, and we were seeing how cool it was and everything. But after it came out, or really once I heard the soundtrack, I was like, this is something special. Like, this is great. And then there was this long gap where we didn't talk about it, or I didn't see these guys at all. And now we do these conventions. It's like, I'm like, oh, like we have, like, there are lots of people around who love it and who love to see us together and love to get a signature on something or talk to us about how it was. It's amazing. So if that kind of answers it, I mean,
that's good for me. What was that? Is there one particular scene that was most challenging for you to get?
Yeah, actually, there was a scene that was so challenging that they cut it out because I couldn't get it right.
And what would that be?
This is breaking news, by the way. I don't think anyone's ever talked about this. There was this scene in the comic book store, and Joel Schumacher was a big fan of me. Like, he cast me, and like a lot of the people had done other stuff, and I had done a little bit, but he had this, like, he believed in me. And for the most part, he was just thrilled with the stuff that we were doing together. And then, but there was this one thing where I was like, my brother and I are on a mission to destroy all vampires, including your brother, if we have to. And I couldn't get it right. Every take, and he'd be like, you gotta be stronger, you gotta be tougher, Jamie, you gotta be tougher. And I was like, and I would kind of do it tough, and then the cameras would start rolling, and I would just be like, my brother and I was getting into more of like a Nicholson thing, cutting room floor, boom. He was like, we got it, great, cutting room floor.
Oh.
But of the stuff that you see that's in it, this stuff in the comic book store was the most where you were really dealing with subtle, like the subtle kind of beginnings of that relationship and stuff. Later on, as we were into the action and stuff, a lot of that stuff was more fun and less difficult, except at the Eddie Munster line was difficult because it was on the spot. Joel came. Have you heard this story?
Nope.
Well, everyone may have their own version of it, but for me, Joel came on the set and he was like, I've got a great new line for you guys. Like, and he was like, who gets it? Who gets the line? And so he told us what it is. It's like, you're going to look at the little vampire, at Laddie, and you're going to be like, holy blank. Can I say it or no?
Yep, go for it.
Holy shit, it's the attack of Eddie Munster. And he was like, who wants it? Who wants the line? And we were all like, I want the line. I should get the line. I should, we were arguing. Me and Haim and Feldman were like, I want it. And Joel was like, pleased with how I was like fitting in with the boys and everything like that. And he was like, I think I'm going to give it to Jamie. That's what they called me, Jamie. He's like, I'm going to give it to Jamie.
Good job.
So I wanted to nail it when I got it.
And you did great things with it.
Thank you.
Now, with you said you didn't really do a whole lot before The Lost Boys. So it was kind of like your first big. With the older, more seasoned actors, did you ever feel intimidated, or did you just kind of?
I was intimidated from the very beginning, but they were also so welcoming. Feldman and Haim, and these other guys. Brooke and Billy. Had like done some stuff, but they were older and cooler and stuff. And Jamie Gertz, who had done a lot of stuff, and Jason Patrick. Those guys were really just like nurturing and happy to have me there and stuff. So I was really nervous, but that really faded pretty quickly because they were so like ensemble about it,
And is there like a really fond memory you have from when that movie was filming?
Let's see, a lot of really good fond memories. One memory that I think about a lot is that there was this one time where Corey Haim and I were hanging out, and it's like he was like from Canada, And he was here basically doing movies, and he was connected with the friends he knew through doing movies. But I also was like, in addition to being an actor, I was like in high school, and I had like kind of a regular sort of existence. I mean, I went on auditions and did some acting, and then I went back to high school and that kind of stuff. So he came and just kind of hung out with me and some of my friends, and then he and I took a bike ride to the beach from where I live, which is pretty far. Like, it's probably like, it took us a few hours to get to the beach, and it was really great. It was one of those like really
cool
bonding times, something I really remember.
So, with the sequel, The Thirst, whose idea was that? Who got that actual ball rolling?
Well, I got to credit Feldman with that. I mean, not just Feldman. I mean, Warner Brothers wanted to do it, and a lot of the guys were really trying to make it work. But Feldman was the one, I think, who said, look, if you're going to do a sequel, if you're not going to get like Kiefer and Jason, and it wasn't at that level where they were going to get those guys back, especially like nobody could figure out like Kiefer died, like how are you going to pull that off, which is just a way to do it, but they weren't solving that yet. Feldman was like, if you're not going to do those guys, the fans are going to want the Frog Brothers back together.
Yep.
And he was right about that, and he was pushing the whole thing, during The Tribe. He was pushing for me to get in it in some little way, like how I was in those deleted scenes. He was like, we need to set it up so that the next movie can be about the Frog Brothers.
Yeah.
So I got to credit Feldman with that, and it was really, I mean, that's what I think was really fun about The Thirst, right? I mean, the frogs together again, those swords that we used.
Yep, and that throwback line, the attack, holy shit, it's the attack of Grandpa Munster.
Yeah.
Whose idea was that?
What's funny is that was just in the script. Like, they just put that in. Yeah. Thinking like, Newlander will do that, Yep. And I looked at it, and it took me a while to remember how I did it, because there was one convention we went to, the first convention we went to together, it was in London, and they were like, as we were walking back from the panel, they were like, they said to Haim, they were like, say death by stereo, and he was like, death by stereo, and it sounded exactly like how he did it. And then they were like, say, holy shit, it's the attack of Eddie Munster. And I couldn't remember exactly, I remember how it sounded, but I couldn't remember what was going on for me when I was saying it. And as I looked closely at it, I kind of studied it a little after I saw that was in the script about the Grandpa Munster. And what I realized is that I was much more involved. I wasn't just saying it as a joke. I was really involved,
Yep.
In like the sort of event of it. And I was like, that's the way I have to do it. And I think I got it pretty close to how it was in the,
It was bang on.
Thanks.
It was bang on.
Thanks.
And aside from doing all the conventions and stuff, is there anything that we could expect in the future from you?
Yeah, I got a lot of things going on. I'm writing also.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and I haven't been I've had screenplays and tried to get things made, and things have been very close and still very close, and nothing that I can say is like, that's something you can go see, But little by little, I'm working on something for Feldman. I'm actually working on a comic book related to Lost Boys, related to our experience shooting Lost Boys, which is exciting. This guy I work with, he's a comic book artist. He did the Saturday Night Live comic book. I don't know if you saw it, but something like that came out. His name's Chad Lambert.
I don't think I've seen that yet.
It just came out, and he, does all 30 years of Saturday Night Live in one comic book. It's really cool.
That would be hard.
It was extremely hard, extremely hard. But it's like, all the caricatures, all the different casts. It's really cool. So he and I are working on something that kind of takes my experience shooting Lost Boys, adds a horror element to it.
Yep.
And then that's a comic book, and I'm really excited about that. But we're not ready to start promoting that yet.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, you can cut it out there, but I mean, I'm not going to be like, check it out, because there's nothing to check out. There's also this wiki soap.
Right.
This is where I had this idea.
I'll put the link on the bottom.
Yeah, there's a link. Oh, you'll put a link.
Oh, yes, I will.
Nice. I had this idea where I was like, so much is like people wanting to not just, like karaoke, it's like people they don't want to just listen to music. They want to try and sing some of this music. And so I was like, I want to start a soap opera by wiki. Sorry. Where I'll put up an episode, introduce a bunch of characters, and then other people can shoot their own scenes, their own episodes as these characters, put them up on the site, and it kind of grows that way. So it's not like us deciding what happens, it's the community deciding what happens.
Very cool.
Which is, I think, is a cool idea. I haven't really gotten out there to market it yet, but little by little, you know.
It'll get there.
Exactly.
There'll be a link there. Thank you so much for talking to us. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the season. Mimi Rupp of InfernalDreams.net and Venom and Hummy. I'm with the Lost Boys, Brooke McCarter, Bailey Wirth, and G. Tom Max, who wrote the song Cry Little Sister.
Yeah.
And we're just going to do a quick little...
Sure.
How did you guys get cast in the movie?
Well, I was in New York City, and Dick Donner and Joel Schumacher came in for a casting, and I went and read for them, and they said, you're not going to have a lead, but you're going to have a part, and you're not going to have a lot to say, but this is going to be really good for you, and they were right, you know. And so I got cast out of New York City, and Brooke and I actually at the time had the same agent, and we were just meeting each other, so we both got booked, and then we became best friends after that.
Awesome.
It was really cool like that. The yin and the yang of it all.
Brooke, what was the toughest scene to film in the movie?
Well, definitely the bathtub scene.
Hanging upside down?
Well, hanging upside down was very challenging, but the bathtub scene,
The bathtub scene.
yeah, because they had the stunt guys. The dog couldn't jump up high enough to knock me, so they had the dog and they carried the dog and they threw him on me to push me in the thing, and then there was, dry ice to cause the thing, and they were sticking to my skin, and there was the makeup, and it was like miserable.
What was your reaction when they said, "Hey, we're going to throw a dog at you"?
Bring it. It's Hollywood.
G. Tom, how did you come about writing the song? Like, how long did it take you to write?
Well, Joel Schumacher, who was a fan of my music, sent me a script through Warner Brothers, the head of music department there, Gary Lamel, and basically said, could you take a look at the script and see if you can come up with a theme song for the film? And I'm going like, wow, I mean, can I look at the film? He said, well, I'm shooting right now. I can't show you anything. So it was the first time I'd actually read a script and just got inspired by the script and other things that were going on in my own life at that time. I was living in New York. And it just sort of came together the following day after reading the script that night. And I was walking up 6th Avenue, going up to my studio, and it all started to come, the melody and the idea, and then by the time I got to the piano at the studio, it was pretty much written, within like a couple of hours. And yeah, and I just demoed it, didn't think anything of it, brought some kids in to sing the backing choir, and then just sent it to Joel. And then 3 days later, on a very hungover morning, I get this phone call, and I hear my answer machine saying, "Gee, it's Joel Schumacher," and the song's playing. He said, "Pick up your phone if you're there." And I did, and he said, "Man, I had no idea that you have no idea how well it worked."
Unbelievable, Jake.
And you did music for one of Brooke's other movies, didn't you? For Emerging Past?
I did.
How did that come about?
Well, Brooke brought me in on that. It was fun, actually. I wrote a song called "Soul I Bear," which,
awesome too,
and I ended up scoring the movie and doing all of that. It was fun. Yeah, he's great in it. He's fantastic.
Awesome. Well, thank you for talking to me.
Hey, thanks. Mimi Rupp in the house with the Lost Boys. She's on Mac.
Dream come true.